So, do you think you've ever seen a big ship before? Well, think again, because today we're heading straight into the world of the largest cruise ships ever built. We're talking floating metropolises so massive that they make city blocks look small and skyscrapers look like toys. Now, these aren't just vessels that carry you from one port to the next, they're engineered to be worlds in themselves, stacked with roller coasters, multi deck water parks, casinos, luxury hotels, and enough restaurants and bars to keep thousands of people entertained for literally weeks. And wait until you see the biggest of them all. It's a ship that carries nearly 10,000 people at once. It's a number so extreme that it defies imagination. Stay with me until the end because the last ship we'll cover has features you won't believe are even possible at sea. So before we begin, don't click away. Just before we take this deep dive, it's imperative you hit that like button and subscribe so that you get notified the minute we produce another game-changing video about the biggest and boldest machines on the planet. And I promise you will appreciate it. So buckle up and let's plunge straight in. Now, cruise ships have not always been this way. Once upon a time, they were primarily about travel, a luxurious means of getting from one destination to another. But in the last 2 decades, well, something has changed. See, the major cruise lines like Royal Caribbean, Carnival, MSC, and Norwegian, they've all entered into a full blown arms race, competing to build ships that were not only larger, but flashier, more extravagant, and more outrageous than the last. Each new vessel had to beat the previous one, not just in size, but in how many activities, attractions, and luxuries it could stack on its decks. And the result has been a series of engineering marvel ships so massive and complex that they rival small cities in both population and infrastructure. Now, these vessels are more than vacation machines. They're symbols of ambition and proof that humanity's obsession with scale has absolutely no limit. And they tell us a lot about what passengers want from travel today, an experience where the ship itself is the destination, not just the ports that it visits. So let's start the list by beginning with the Royal Caribbean International, the undisputed kings of size at sea. Now, the first and most jaw dropping of them all is the Icon of the Seas, introduced in 2024. At over 250,000 gross tons, it's not just the largest cruise ship in the world, but a staggering leap forward in design. Its displacement makes it 6% heavier than the previous record holder, which might not sound like much, but in shipbuilding, every percentage translates into entire city blocks of extra space. The Icon is built to carry close to 10,000 people, including passengers and crew. Now, think about that for a moment. A population bigger than many towns packed into one single floating vessel. But what makes the Icon stand out is not just its size, but its amenities. It has 20 decks stacked with entertainment zones. There's a water park called Category 6 that boasts 6 massive slides, making it the largest water park ever placed on a cruise ship. There are also 14 new categories of cabins, including family suites that are designed like private apartments and sky suites that look out over the ocean from multiple angles. The ship is divided into neighborhoods, each with its own style and theme, from peaceful retreat zones to high energy party decks. So, whether you want quiet time in a spa, fine dining under chandeliers, or adrenaline pumping activities, well, you'll find it here. It's less like being on a boat and more like walking into an experimental city built to show off what humanity can do with steel design and imagination. Now, before Icon took the crown, the record holder was Wonder of the Seas, which launched in 2022. This behemoth weighs in at 236,000 gross tons and accommodates around 7,000 passengers, along with more than 2,000 crew. It's divided into neighborhoods as though it were a real city. There's a central park filled with 20,000 living plants, A royal promenade where you'll find cafes, shops, and entertainment, and even an aqua theatre where performers dive from terrifying heights into a pool of water. On board, you'll find an ice rink, surf simulators, full scale casinos, and theatres large enough to rival Broadway venues. Royal Caribbean designed this ship with one core promise that despite its massive scale, passengers would not feel cramped. Instead, they would feel like they were wandering through a city that just happened to float. And they largely succeed, although let's be honest, you'll still find crowds at the buffet and lines at the elevators during peak hours. Next, we come to Odyssey of the Seas, part of the Quantum Ultra class. Now, this ship has been nicknamed a floating children's camp because it designs so heavily around family entertainment. On board, you can experience bumper cars, a virtual reality arena, and even an indoor skating skydiving simulator that lets you float in midair inside a glass chamber while at sea. Now, for adults seeking peace, the ship has a solarium, which is an adults only retreat that's enclosed in glass with its own pools, whirlpools, and a bar overlooking the sea. With room for more than 4,000 passengers, well, it perfectly illustrates the balance that cruise lines are trying to achieve, giving kids neon chaos to burn off energy while giving parents calm corners where they can sip a cocktail in peace. And that sounds great. Now, Royal Caribbean didn't stop there. Ships like Freedom of the Seas, once the largest ship in the world back in 2006, and the Mariner of the Seas continue to operate, each offering their own mix of sports, courts, theatres, restaurants, and even climbing walls. Now, at the time of their launch, these vessels were considered technological marvels, and while newer ships now dwarf them, they still remain powerful symbols of how far the cruise industry has actually come. But Royal Caribbean is not the only giant in this game. Enter Carnival Cruise Line, famous for its wild, party-like atmosphere at sea. Now, the Carnival celebration was launched in 2022, and it weighs more than 183,000 tons and carries over 6,500 passengers. But its claim to fame is a feature that sounds, well, almost unbelievable. A roller coaster on its top deck called Bolt. Yes, you can actually ride a twisting, looping roller coaster while suspended nearly 200 feet above the open ocean. It's the kind of over-the-top idea that only Carnival would dare to install. And by the way, passengers absolutely love it. Beyond that, Carnival Celebration is filled with theme zones, dining halls, and theatres, with everything from educational children's programs in partnership with NASA's Kennedy Space Centers to bars and clubs where adults can dance and drink until dawn. Now, the Carnival Panorama, which entered service in 2019, is slightly smaller at 133,000 tons, but equally as bold. Its top deck looks like a hamster playground, a sprawling maze of slides, water tubes, and climbing structures that stretch across the entire ship. Now, it was designed for the California cruise market and has a more relaxed West Coast vibe. With space for nearly 5,000 passengers, well, it offers both family-friendly play zones and a quieter lounge for adults. Finally, we come to the Carnival Sunshine. Now, this was once called Carnival Victory, and it originally launched in 2000, but was refitted in 2020 with a $155 million makeover. It now carries over 3,000 passengers with updated cabins, flashy Las Vegas style entertainment, and revamped restaurants. And it shows how older vessels can be reborn and continue competing in today's mega cruise marketplace. Now, not to be outdone, Europe's MSC Cruises has been building some of the most stylish and innovative mega ships. The MSC Seascape, launched in 2022, stretches 339 meters and it carries nearly 6,000 passengers. Its signature feature is Robotron, a robotic armed thrill ride that swings passengers out over the side of the ship, spinning and flipping them high above the ocean. It's part amusement park, part futuristic showcase, and designed to wow thrill seekers who really thought they'd seen it all. Now, next, the MSC World Europa was launched the same year, and it takes the title of MSC's largest ship with space for nearly 7,000 passengers. Onboard is the tallest dry slide at sea, spiraling down 10 decks, along with a Formula One simulator that lets you race virtually at high speed while surrounded by luxury. The ship markets itself as eco-friendly, powered by liquefied natural gas, but critics point out that its methane emissions remain problematic. It's a reminder that even as cruise lines try to go green, scale and technology still come at an environmental cost. Next up, there's the MSC Virtuosa, launched in 2021. Now, at 181,000 tons, it's built in the Maravagallia Plus class. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And that focuses on refinement over excess. It carries over 6,000 passengers, but it offers a more European style atmosphere. Stylish dining, artistic shows, and more elegant decor compared to the neon chaos of its American rivals. Now, for those who want a cruise that feels more cultured than Carnival-like, Virtuosa is an appealing choice. And finally, we have Norwegian Cruise Line with their premium entry, the Norwegian Prima. Launched in 2022, the Prima is smaller than the other giants at 143,000 tons, but it makes up for it in comfort. It carries only about 3,200 passengers, giving it a higher crew to guest ratio and a more personal experience. Norwegian markets it as a luxury redefined, with refined dining, spacious cabins, and unique attractions like the Drop, a free-fall slide that plunges passengers down 10 decks in seconds. So it's less about packing in maximum thrills and more about balancing comfort with adrenaline. So why does size matter in the cruise industry? Well, bigger ships means more revenue streams, more passenger options, and the ability to keep people entertained for days without them ever setting foot on land. But it also means longer lines, higher prices, and sometimes overwhelming crowds. Passengers have to decide, do you want a floating amusement park where the ship itself is the star, or a smaller vessel where intimacy and relaxation still exists? Now, these are the largest cruise ships in the world, marvels of engineering and symbols of human ambition. From Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas to MSC's World Europa and Norwegian's Prima, they show how far we've come in transforming the seas into playgrounds for millions. They're not just transport, they're floating civilizations with their own economies, cultures, and infrastructure. So, which one impressed you the most? Would you rather ride a roller coaster over the ocean, plunge down a 10-deck slide, or relax in a European style lounge with a glass of wine? Do me a favour, share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss the next video where we uncover the world's boldest machine and biggest creations. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on board in the next episode.